From Ohio.
Yes, Ohio State Buckeyes is the bus.
Right.
It was originally a tailgate bus that we got off of somebody who had converted it from its original school bus to a tailgate bus, and we turned it into what it is on the inside now.
And it's very nice. I'm very impressed. Very impressed.
For not being very terribly handy, I think we managed to make it a home anyway for us for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Right. So how did you end up in a bus? That's kind of crazy, isn't it?
That's your story too.
Yeah, and you know, I'm usually pretty reasonable. I started with us planning to relocate to Colorado. One thing led to another. We were looking at buying property or buying a house or renting one. We have 3 dogs, and renting was going to be really expensive, so we thought about buying a trailer. Then we needed something to pull the trailer, and we started looking at tiny houses. And then I came across a bus on a tiny house page that they were living in Estes Park. And I'm like, well, if somebody can live in Estes Park in a bus, I certainly can. So that kind of started the bus thought. And then we figured, hey, then we're not committed to a place. We can be a little more flexible in where we want to go. And we started looking for a bus. And this one came along, and it was the perfect bus at the perfect time. So it worked out.
And if you don't mind, how much did you pay for the bus?
The bus was only $3,600.
$36.
And it already had all the seats removed. The guy had put down a wood laminate floor that we took the laminate out and redid the floors. It had a cabinet in it and a couch. I had him take out the couch and keep it because I needed more storage with what we were going to do. But we kept the cabinet. So yeah, $3,600, and it's a Cummins engine with an Allison transmission, 92 Thomas. So it's a pretty good bus.
And Cummins diesel.
Yes.
A renowned diesel.
Yeah, that's what everybody kept saying to look for. Was actually my dad's best friend. His last words before I saw the bus online was a Cummins diesel with an Allison transmission, and try to find one from the south. And this bus is originally from Florida, so it doesn't have any rust underneath. And
so Jeremy, you just kind of went along.
I love the idea. We've done a lot of traveling and camping together, and we had a tiny home, and we're using about half of that to begin with, and she got the ball rolling. And yeah, I just thought it was a phenomenal idea. Like she said, we were originally heading to Colorado and buying more property or more land, and we thought, you know what, this is a neat way to take a pause and go explore more. We've got some friends and family in the Northwest and haven't traveled much up there, so we thought even though Colorado was, you know, maybe ideal, that we knew it was more of the Rockies in the West, so we thought maybe we could do some exploring instead of just jumping it back into.
Actually, now my mom has also bought a bus and is in the process. Is in the process of converting it right now in very cold Ohio. I'm sorry, Mom.
We'll get her out of her next winter, maybe.
Yeah. So she's pulling seats,
which can be a fun job.
Yeah, that's why I wanted one with the seats already pulled.
Yeah, right. Our 3 were fun enough.
Yeah, we had 3, and that was enough.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look inside, because you really have made it a marvelous home.
Sure.
Well, just like any other school bus, you step up this driver's seat and you drove it here.
Yeah.
You said you developed, and you got green plants.
We've got
music.
Several plants.
Yeah, we had thousands back home, and it downsized quite a bit.
We did have
Jeremy,
to bring
I'll let you
plants.
go past me if you want.
Okay,
although,
sure.
yeah, it'll be a little crowded, but we can make it work.
It's a little narrow in a bus.
And you didn't put in any walls.
We put in some side walls, but nothing in between. Just put some insulation and some paneling on the sides to give us a little bit of insulation, but we wanted to keep it open, it being a smaller space. Plus, I gotta say, like today, I was laying down taking a nap, and I could look out my window and see mountains, and that was a beautiful thing.
And it is bright and open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't feel tiny in here at all.
No.
The skylights too help a ton. Those are one of my favorite things. One's over the bed, one's here, so at night we can see the stars in the sky, and it definitely gives it a lot more light. And those were the old emergency exit openings here,
right?
That somebody had put the previous owner had put plexiglass in, and then we got some Lexan glass installed by a auto glass company. Put it in for us. So.
So you still have these were 2 of the seats, I imagine?
Yeah, these are the original, 3 of the original bus seats. What's nice about bus seats is they open, which I never knew in all my years of riding buses, but they do. So we built boxes underneath for storage, and kept those because of the open feature was just too too convenient to pass up.
Convenient storage.
This is Luna in the Luna Love seat. She's got some memory foam in here to keep her comfy in her old age.
Right.
And then there's just milk crates.
Storage.
Strapped together for storage.
Right.
With a piece of plywood on top. And then her memory foam to make her comfy.
And a very simple table in between.
My table's a little wonky, but it'll do for now.
It's a never-ending job.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yep. And one of the neat things is we just finished remodeling an old farmhouse, so like the paneling and insulation, and even that was just some scrap plywood. And one night at work, Wendy was like, we had some leftover paint. She started, doing that, and
Right.
really kind of gave it that individual look.
Right.
You can go ahead back there, Bob, if you want.
And this is probably just a Home Depot or somewhere cabinet unit, kitchen cabinet unit.
I think so.
It's the one that came on that was on the guy had used for tailgate, and then we painted it. I tiled half of it so we'd have this place that I could put the stove or something hot.
Right.
And I had the tile left over from some housing projects on our house that when we were getting ready to sell it, most of this stuff came from that. And then we bought a $6, what was it, $6 at the Habitat Restore sink, and drilled a hole in there, and it's just plumbed into a bucket. Your lovely sprayer idea.
Sure.
Works
Just a
great for
pop-up sprayer?
dishes.
Yeah.
Gives me a little pressure, put hot water in there.
Yeah.
I've got a faucet, and so it works really well.
Ultra simple, ultra cheap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were like, what do we need? Well, it'd be nice to be plumbed, but this works very well.
Yeah.
So, and then we worked out the shower thing as well. Food is strapped to the seat for travel. But yeah, it's interesting trying to keep, there's a little bit of takedown from where we've got it set up now to travel, but it doesn't take very long, actually. And I've got some boxes that things on counters just all get plopped in, and this is our wood stove.
The wood stove here.
And it's a little Nyko Alaskan Junior, I believe is the brand. And it's a camp tent stove. We actually did have a stove company help us put it in to make sure that we were okay on how it was installed. And it was Buckeye Stove Company did the work for us, and it was awesome. It all breaks down, so the pipe on the outside comes off. If we decide to take the tape off and we have more tape, the whole thing actually will break down and fit inside the stove itself.
And kind of disappear.
Yeah. And the legs fold down, and we can even take this metal shield out of the window and put the window back up and have regular window space. So if we know, like, going into summer we're going to not need it for a long period of time, we can break it all down and it'll store just in the size of that. And the legs, like I said, even fold down. So, and it's nice and lightweight, not near as heavy as a regular wood stove, and gives us a heat source. And we found that the propane was very wet in here.
Yeah.
It rained inside when we tried propane, although we do keep a Mr. Buddy on board too for backup as well. And then this is just a stove board. And found around, there's fire brick. We did line the inside with some fire brick so that it doesn't get too hot on the sides or the bottom.
The inside of the stove.
Yeah, so there's just a little bit of fire brick on the sides and on the bottom, which right now kind of fell in. But to keep them cool, and with those, my wall didn't even hit 65, 70 when I had the stove up to like 500. I had my little temperature gun shooting everywhere when we were doing our burns on it, so it worked out real well.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's a pretty good sized space, but it's plenty for here.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if I haven't tested it like single digits, but
good. Hopefully not.
We were down in the 30s and in high 20s and burn. What was it, like 28? I think the one night I was doing my one set of burns, and it was getting it nice and toasty in here, not like 90, but definitely comfortable.
But if you're headed for Colorado, those are temperatures you will be looking at.
Oh yeah, we may upgrade to a serious wood stove if we decide to finish in Colorado. But right now we've got a summer job in Utah, so we're kind of being open to where things lead us at now, not as set on a specific destination, just seeing what kind of opportunities we encounter along the way.
Right. And did you buy the stove new?
Yes, we did.
Do you mind if I ask how much?
It was about, what, $200, I think, for the basic package, and then I had a couple extra elbows I ordered, so I think it came to about $250 altogether.
That was delivered to the house, and I think it was about $80, $90. They actually had a secondary attachment that was like a hot water heater
that you could put on the side. They actually have a hot
And do you have
tank.
it?
We did not.
We did not
passed
opt for
on
it,
that
but
one.
it certainly looked intriguing and maybe something in the future.
They had it was a table hot water set, so one side you can see the slots here that you can slide on, and they have a hot water tank that will just keep water hot, that just had a tap on it that you could pull it straight off. And we were thinking about that. We were a little worried about the width and where it was going to sit exactly when we ordered it, so we're like, oh, we can just throw a kettle on there for now.
So $350 everything at your door, something like that.
Yeah.
It was
or a little less.
I would say
That would be with-
$250.
yeah.
That would be with the, if you wanted the water tank and the table, it would be probably about $300 to the door. Yeah.
Wow, that is and you've used it and you're pleased with it. Throws
Yeah.
a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
very
yeah.
much.
Something about the smell of it. And
Right.
such. And then the bed, of course, has got lots of storage underneath. We just built it out of 2x4s and then plywood. And actually, the end of that end down there has a hitch so that we can lift it up if we want to get in from that way. And we've got a lot of storage bins, and then that's the little doggy cubby space there.
So
the dogs have to have their own little space.
So there's storage space under this.
Oh yeah, all
That
underneath.
pops out.
This end here opens up, or I have access points here, and on the front side there to get in, and we have tubs stored under there. A lot of storage bins.
Regular Sterilite tubs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And then blankets on top of the tubs.
That's Dakota's cave that you're filming now.
Right. So one of the doggy home and storage.
Yeah.
Multiple use everywhere.
Yeah, she
Yes.
everything had to have, that was one of the things when we kept, everything's got to have dual use of, right now we're just using blankets and tapestries that we've had, and we hang those up with the magnets at night, and they make it very cozy in here. At some point, I keep saying I'm going to make curtains, but I don't really sew, so my mom might make me some curtains that hang off magnetic curtain rods instead of just hanging up blankets. But right now, to be honest, the blankets have been great, and they work great, and they gave us a little extra insulation at night, so win-win on that. Most of our general lighting that we use are just battery operated LED Christmas lights. We've got 4 strands of those that they actually have timers that'll automatically shut off even after so much time, or we can leave them straight on, and we use those and a lot of those push button LED lights with batteries.
So far, no solar.
We have a small Harbor
That's right.
Freight solar kit, so we do have that light there, and a couple other little lights will run off that. Mostly we use it to charge our phones. We hope to get a laptop. We haven't gotten one yet. We'd like a laptop. And then charge our laptop. But really, when we really started assessing our power needs, we didn't have very many. Those things and my 2 amp hour per day that I have to have for the compost toilet, and that's pretty minor. So we would like to get a bigger solar system down the road. He's got a friend in South Dakota I think we're going to go visit that's going to help us out with that. But this was plenty to get us started and on the road. So.
And then a book cabinet, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to have books.
Yeah, that was my hardest thing to cut down on for the bus.
Always. For every van RVer.
And I've got a lot in storage that I couldn't part with still. But yeah, I was impressed with how I had one full bookshelf left. And people were like, oh, you'll never get them all on the bus. I'm like, I'll get them on there. I worked a bookstore for 14 years. I can cram books into spots if I need to.
And I really love how pleasant your home is.
Oh, well, thank you.
It isn't stark. It isn't crowded. Well, it's crowded, but it's crowded with things you love.
Yeah.
And beautiful things.
Thank you.
And that's never crowded.
This is actually a walking stick my dad carved for me shortly before he passed away, and it's my most prized possession. And there's a few those are the kinds of things we brought with us.
Right.
Things from my grandmother and and we incorporate a lot of that into the bus. This came out of his grandparents' cottage. They had passed away, and something we inherited, and I cleaned it up and stained it. My tub was a garden pond my dad had given me that I drug out of the backyard and scrubbed clean, and I fit in it perfectly.
Oh, look at you. There you go.
If I have unlimited water, I can take a full bath if I want.
Right.
I can take a stand-up shower with my little battery-operated shower head. And we have our handy magnet shower curtains that we maneuver around for either showering or they become privacy for the bathroom. Oops, if I didn't pull it off pretty quickly.
Where'd you go?
So you can have your privacy.
Right.
Or I move it over there for when it's shower time and curve them around the shower.
I guess it's kind of just assumed you two are pretty familiar with each other.
Yeah, we don't need a whole lot from each other.
No. But there are certain things you definitely want some privacy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Sometimes you just want some privacy, especially us girls. We like our privacy.
Good time to take a walk.
Yeah.
Well, I can trade you spots if you want to get back, or I can stand in the tub
Okay,
even.
there you go. That would work.
If you would like to get in to see the compost toilet.
So here's your pride and joy.
Yeah, the most expensive item on the bus. The one thing we did splurge on, and again, it was more of my need, probably more so than Jer's, but it's been nice.
No, but I really agreed with that as well, because
Yeah.
it was something, as much as you can do the bucket thing, that brings it to a whole nother level, and one of the things we were adamant about was not having a black water tank and being tied to that mess and having to find a place to dump to it, and we like to disappear for weeks on end up into the national forest, so it really opens up a lot of doors, and I think in the long run will save us a lot of hassle.
It's supposed to be able, with full-time use, 2 people, go 3 to 4 weeks without being, before you have to empty it, and then they say wait at least 8 hours from your final use before you empty, and then you can empty. And then at that point, it's safe as compost. They say obviously you don't want to use it on food items like vegetables or things, but it's safe to use on trees or plants and flowers or that sort of thing. The longer you let it break down, the better, obviously. Some of the toilet paper particles will still be present early in the process, but even after a week or so more, that completely breaks down. It has a small electrical component, plugs in. You can wire it 12V or 110. It's designed more for 12V. And then it draws 2 amp hours a day, and a little vent that vents outside to help keep the air flow. It's all about separating the moisture from the solids, and so that way the moisture is what causes a lot of the smell and the problem. And Bob can attest, it doesn't smell at all.
No.
Do the shuffle.
So, do you have any idea what you have invested? Let's say without the toilet, because that's wasn't expensive.
I was ballparking it on the drive out here, and we probably, everything included $2,500 to $3,000, so we're right about...
That includes the toilet.
Yeah, that includes the toilet.
Well, that includes the toilet.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So we probably, again, we really went around the house and took things like these bookcases all came from the house. This was like his grandparents. The cabinet came on the bus, the paneling was left over from projects we had done on the house. So the floor was the next expensive thing we spent money on, the flooring and the insulation underneath. Okay. But yeah, I'd be surprised if we put $2,000 outside of the toilet into the build of the rest of it. To 5. Yeah, I would say between 5 and 6 is what we've totally got in it.
So you have a totally comfortable home, warm, reliable home.
Yeah.
For $5,000.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're pretty excited.
A friend of ours back home was trying to tell me it was expensive, and I'm like, really? How much do you pay a month in rent?
He's paying $1,000 a month in 5 months,
and he doesn't have much more square footage. And we can leave tomorrow and call another state home.
And the more we're in it, the more I love it. Yeah. I sit here and at night we're completely cozy. I'm like, we really don't need any more than this. Yeah. We're very comfortable. It's very nice.
Yes. Yep. Well, thank you for sharing your home with us. It's so impressive what you've done.
Thank you, Bob.
And you're not master carpenters.
Oh, no, not by any
We're still learning a lot.
And
it was a fun learning curve.
Yeah. Any average person could do this.
Oh, yeah. I have my parents used to build houses, but, I had very basic construction skills.
$3,600 for the bus.
Yeah.
And you could get nearly that in scrap.
Yeah. We found that out after after we bought it,
You can't really lose.
No, we were like, well, we could, just the metal alone, we could pretty much get what we need. And the batteries were almost brand new on it. So between the scrap metal and the batteries, we were like, it's no lose on buying the bus. So
the engine only has 58,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
I googled that, and that was $5,500. It's brand new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to get a hold of us. At some point, we're going to get a blog and/or a name and interact a little more. She's had a lot more experience on your site, but I can't thank you enough for everything you've turned us on to. It's been amazing.
You're very welcome. Okay, well, folks, there you have it. A home for $5,000 on wheels. Pretty amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.